So my name's Elijah Bethard, and we're going to be talking about the Nacirema culture. So the reflection I got from this article, I found it pretty interesting how we don't know a lot about them, but what we do know is from their mythology, like they came from the East, which was pretty interesting based on some guy with super strength that could skip large rocks and wouldn't cut a tree down. Found it interesting that based on mythology, we can tell certain things about their culture. I also found it pretty interesting that their medicine and stuff, I see how it kind of evolved to the medicine we have now, but it wasn't good. I mean, it killed a lot of people. Basically, like, if a tooth's rotten, they would pull out a bunch of teeth, they'd put some magic powder on it to try to heal you. And in all reality, you were just torturing yourself and then your other teeth would become rotten. So it didn't make a lot of sense. And also I found it interesting how private of a life they were. Even your spouse doesn't know anything about your bathroom regimen because of how secretive they were about that and how much they didn't really want to share. But they did trust one person, and that's the doctors. And I found that really interesting that they would trust the doctors to do that, but not their own spouse. It proved they had a lot of faith in the people that um, they practice medicine. And then, okay, so for the second point, where it's described the communication patterns, ritual practice, or ritual of the culture. So, as an outsider, I thought some of the things were a little outdated and a little, not safe. I found it interesting that they had their own medicine and that the certain witch doctors or the mouth doctors would put it in, just add some ingredients to the stuff they already had, the magic powders already had, and created medicine. I thought that was pretty interesting. I also found it interesting that how much they valued the mouth, and how they would go to really um, long lengths to keep their mouth really pretty because they thought a pretty mouth meant you were a pretty person, you were more spiritual, you will find love easier, you will have more friends based on how your mouth looked. And I found it interesting as well that their body image was kind of like similar to ours and how it's kind of unattainable for women to get. But I thought it was kind of funny that women would make a lot of money if they had that body image by letting men see them. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And I thought and then another thing was how much they trusted their doctors. And the young people would refuse to go to the temples because they knew you would die if you went there. But the older you got, it seemed like they wanted to go, even though they did not have a high, you know, success rate. You would probably die when you were in there because of just the medicine practices and other stuff that they killed you more than they healed you. So this has changed throughout history. Um, Basically, how it changed was obviously we've gotten better at medicine, but one thing that didn't change is you have to pay to get help, just like how they would do. They would offer up a gift before they got the treatment, and then after they got the treatment, they'd offer up a gift. And it's kind of the same where it's like the better the gift, the better you got put on the list. That's very similar to how capitalistic America is today. The more money you have, the more opportunities you have. And then it's also changed because I feel like people have become with more knowledge. They kind of, if you put a person nowadays back in to that time, and it was like, here's a doctor, you're probably gonna die when you see him, but you should go see him. I feel like most people nowadays wouldn't want to do that, because they don't want to die. Um, yeah. So I think these changes have been greatly beneficial, to be honest, based on what I've read from this, that we've evolved medically a lot. And now it's like if I go to doctors, I'm going to live. Most likely they'll find out what's wrong with me and I have a high chance of living back then. If I had a flu and I went to see their doctors, I mean, it was flip a coin if I'm going to come out of there or not. And then um, as well as we're a lot less private of a civilization now. So that's why I liked about the Nacirema culture more is how private they were. I mean, your spouse wouldn't know anything about the bathroom, and how much faith they had in mouth doctors or the people at the temples. I found that very interesting, and I respected that. Yeah, and then these changes are still, they're beneficial. We do have more, I would say, closeness because of how open we are. We're not super secretive about what medicine we have in the cabinet. We're not gonna be secretive to our kids about what kind of like the cabinet they had with the medicine and certain stuff, how the doctors would add stuff to it, and apparently it would heal you. Um, but they wouldn't share it with anybody. They wouldn't let anyone know what they had. So, I mean, I could take it as it's kind of similar to how um, money is now. The more things you have to trade, I'm sure the more medicine you have. And money now, you don't really talk about how much you make a year to really anybody because that's more personal information. But I think with social media, we are kind of getting away from the privateness, and I think that has hurt us a little bit because now um, quite a few people put way too much stuff about their lives on social media, and it's just people don't need to know a lot about you like that unless they're a close friend or they talk to you face to face. Um, so I think being more private will lead to less people probably getting hurt, getting their feelings hurt. Um, yeah, thank you for listening.